Hey guys, in this video we're going to be checking out the Makerfire Armor 67. This is another one of these brushless micro drones, kind of on the lighter side. It's sort of a lighter power setup here. It comes with 1103 10,000 kV motors. These are pretty much the same as the Racer Star 1103 10,000 kV motors, and you kind of need the higher kV to spin these smaller props. They're 1535s, I believe, or about 40 millimeters, I think. I like this frame. It's pretty unique. It's a little bit beefy. I think I'll give you weight measurement. It's a little bit on the heavier side, but it's very, very durable. I've crashed this quite a bit, and it just doesn't have any flex in it. It has a little bit of flex, but this is going to be very durable for your park flying. I think even for some larger indoor spaces, it's pretty fast and very acrobatic. I think you'll see in the flight demo I was able to do flips and rolls no problem with this. And I think even though the carbon seems a little bit heavy, overall it's not that heavy for what you get. I think that the designers did a pretty good job in putting together this stack down here. And let me see if I can give you a closer look at this. Basically, the 4-in-1 ESC down there is almost on top of the main plate there where the motors are mounted to, and you can see that when you look at the way they designed the frame from underneath, the whole bottom section here where the ESC is shown is basically all fully open. I have a little piece of foam here double-sided to the bottom of the ESC just so the battery doesn't hit the ESC or the screws. There's a little bit of a basically space there, and then the rubber bands will hold on the battery to this little foam pad. But I think because of the way that this frame was designed, with this opening here in the bottom, you don't have a lot of space between the main plate and the 4-in-1 ESC, and then they also have a very limited amount of space between the 4-in-1 ESC and the flight controller. This is the same. I think this flight controller ESC combo is similar to pretty much all the other ones that I've had in a lot of these brushless micros. 10 amp 4-in-1 ESC and Omnibus F3 flight controller. Comes with an OSD. They've taken this camera. This is a little bit newer version of the VM275 right here. This is a VM2751 version 1.0. And the reason this is different is normally the VM275 doesn't have an OSD connection. This one does. So this is a newer version that has the video in and video out leads. And I wasn't able to pull this out because it's glued in. So I can't show you the wires, but there are indeed wires that go here to the side. You can see right there, those 4 wires right there are through the OSD that come from the cameras, direct soldered in there. So this is obviously this is a newer version that we're seeing. I haven't seen this camera before, but yeah, this looks like this one has the OSD capability. Now they did go with a traditional 20x20. If you call it traditional, something that's only been out for 6 months. But because they went with the 20x20 stack, you have a little bit of overlap on the corners here where the props are. So blocks your thrust a little bit, but it's not too bad. I think they kind of went with that so they can squeeze this in to a 67mm size and also at the same time maintain a lower stack. So I know that some of other people, designers, have come out with frames where you have this sort of prop guard, and that's on one level where the camera mounts on top, and then you have another level where you have the frame, but the distance between the main plate and the prop guard is actually wider because of there's so much electronics here, and because of that the props aren't actually in the same line as the prop guard. So the prop guard would be higher or lower. Well, actually the prop guard would be mostly higher than where the props are. So in a lot of these other designs, the props are like down here somewhere, maybe like 5mm or so below because of the extra space needed for this electronic stack. So the designers of this frame did a pretty good job. I think it has to do with this cutout down here and allowing that smaller separation there to get basically the prop guards are actually protecting you from getting hit by the props. So this version is DSM-2. I believe that's the only version that's currently for sale right now on Gearbest. I heard that a flat sky and free sky versions will be coming later, but the little Spectrum receiver is right there, and that's the bind button. I had to bind it to my Tyrannus with I had the iRange X multi-protocol module on there, and I just switched it to DSM-X mode. I believe I bound it at 22 milliseconds, and that worked. Basically, you power it on while holding that bind button down, then the little light starts flashing, then you're in bind mode, then you go to your transmitter and go into bind mode, and then it will bind. And you can see there the receiver is right below the prop guard line there, and then the antenna is right there. It's kind of hard to see, but it's just pointing out right there. I'm not too confident in this particular Spectrum receiver. It might be that my Spectrum setup is not that great, but as soon as I flew about 50 to 70 meters away, I got fail-safes, so I had to fly close nearby without it crashing. So I should be aware of that. If you guys are flying Spectrum, this receiver might not be the best. So it comes in this really nice box here, and I'll show you the things that you get here. You get a battery, I'll talk about that in a second. You get some spare props and screws and some rubber bands, and you get a USB charger for the 2S battery, which is nice. The battery here, this is an okay battery, not really that great. It's 30C, 400 milliamps. I have some other batteries that are actually better. You'll need ones obviously with the JST connection. These 10,000 kV motors do draw a fair amount of power. I was flying with some 350s and 300s, higher C batteries, and I was getting like 3 minutes of flight time, which is probably about what that's about right, I think. Okay, so here's the weight measurement. This is without the LiPo. It's about 42 grams, so definitely not the lightest, definitely not the heaviest, but I think for this weight, for the durability of this carbon frame, which I like, I think it's a pretty good trade-off. So overall, I thought this flew pretty good. If you're looking for like a little, like sort of medium to fast indoor flyer, runs on 2S, this is not a bad choice. Obviously, it will fly outdoors no problem. It was flying in windy conditions no problem. It's got pretty good power. But I, again, try and find some pretty good LiPos. I would say 300 to 400 milliamps 2S and higher than say 50C. I think you'll be good to go on this. I'll leave you with some line of sight footage and some flight footage as well. Let me know if you guys have any questions about this, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.